Hello, I'm Earth. I'm where you live, you and a few billion others. People live all over me on bits of land called continents. There are 7. North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Oceania, and Antarctica. Over 2/3 of my surface is covered in water. Most of it is held in the 5 oceans. The Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Southern Ocean, and the Arctic Ocean. I orbit around the sun. Not that fast. It actually takes me a year. There's an imaginary line that runs around my middle, which is always closest to the sun. There it is, the equator. It marks the difference between my 2 parts, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. This cold part at the top is my most northern point and is called the North Pole. I also have another cold part at my bottom, my most southerly point, which is called the South Pole. They are my coldest parts because they are furthest from the sun. I have a lot going on, don't I? So take care of me, please, because I'm your home.
Hello Year 6, this is your second lesson in geography in our new Rainforest Perspectives topic, and our success criteria for this lesson today is to use a world map and see if we can accurately label the continents and the oceans, mark and label the equator, mark and label the tropics and meridian lines, and mark the rainforests of the world and start to think about why they may be located where they are. Now, if you have an atlas, you can use it to do that, or you can use the internet to do that and look at world maps on the internet to locate those continents. Our first task for today is to open the world map sheet that's on the Google Drive. Now, I've put it on here in PDF, but I've also put it on in Word, because if you're able to print it out at home, you can print the PDF version and you can work straight onto it. But if you're working on a laptop, perhaps you might want to open the Word document, save it to your own computer. And then if you're not printing it, you can add text boxes over the top so that you can type straight in, and you might be able to then annotate the map using text and then save it, and you'd be able to save us the Word document send us the Word document rather than the one that you've written on. It's completely up to you. If you're working on a tablet, you could screenshot it and then annotate over the top of that. If you can't do any of those things, it is absolutely fine if you just make a list on your spare paper that you've got at home of the 7 continents. So once you found out where they are and you know that you could identify them, you can write a list of them. You can stop the video at this point while you identify those 7 continents of the world. Now let's check if you had them correct. I thought this song might amuse you.
The world is split up into continents, there are 7 in all. And if you get the gist, we're gonna make a list from biggest to small. They are Asia, Africa, North and South America, Antarctica, Europe, and finally Oceania. Asia, Africa, North and South America, Antarctica, Europe, and finally Oceania.
Hey, my name is Asia, and more than half of the world lives here, but whatever.
And I am Africa with desert for miles, and my Nile is the longest river.
North America, start down in Panama, wide open spaces all the way to Canada.
I'm South America with animals galore, where the rainforest grows, 'cause the rain really pours.
I'm Antarctica, and I'm totally ours.
And I'm Europe, you're welcome, for the pasta, pizza, waffles, and fries.
I'm Oceania, some call me Australia. I got a lot of islands, too many to explain to ya.
We are Asia, Africa, North and South America, Antarctica, Europe, and finally Oceania.
Next, return to your world map. You're going to go and find out where are the 5 oceans of the world and what are they called. Annotate them on your map. Alternatively, write them down on any piece of paper you have. You can stop again at this point while you do that task. Now, I knew you'd be disappointed if there wasn't another helpful little song to assist you in marking your work, so here we go.
About 70% of the surface of the earth is ocean water, and it's divided up in 5 parts from biggest to smallest. Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Southern, Arctic. Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Southern, Arctic.
I'm the Pacific, to be specific. I'm a third of the Earth's surface where my turf is, and my Mariana Trench is the very, very deepest in the sea.
And I'm the Atlantic, named after the Greek god Atlas, with the Bermuda Triangle and the Gulf Stream in me.
I'm the Indian Ocean, I'm the warmest around.
And I'm the Southern Ocean where Antarctica is found.
And I'm the Arctic, the smallest and the shallowest. But that's fine, you see, I've got more ice than you've ever seen. Even polar bears walk on me. We're the Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Southern, Arctic. Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Southern, Arctic.
One more time.
Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Southern, Arctic. Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Southern, Arctic.
Next, we'd like you to be able to identify where the equator, the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn and the meridian lines are on your map of the world. But first, let's have a little closer look at what this means.
If you look at a globe, Earth may seem like a very big place. But we can divide it into sections, smaller parts that make it easier to understand. What are these sections, and what do they tell us about locations on Earth? Two of the most distant parts of the Earth are the poles. The North and South Poles are located at opposite ends of Earth. The North Pole is the part of Earth that is the farthest north. The South Pole is the part of Earth that is the farthest south. The North Pole is surrounded by the Arctic region. The South Pole is surrounded by the continent of Antarctica. Seals, whales, and penguins live here. Even though they are far away from each other, the North and South Poles have some things in common. Their climates are similar. They both get very cold. Climate is the weather patterns in one place over a long period of time. And the poles are both places where Earth's lines of longitude meet. Lines of longitude are imaginary lines that run from the North Pole to the South Pole. Lines of latitude are imaginary lines that run from east to west around the world. Lines of latitude and lines of longitude help us divide Earth into sections. Another imaginary line runs through Earth from the North Pole to the South Pole. It is Earth's axis. Earth spins on this axis once every 24 hours. As Earth spins or rotates, some parts of it face the sun and have daylight. Other parts face away from the sun and have nighttime. Two other lines help us divide Earth. The equator is the line of latitude that circles the middle of Earth. The prime meridian is Earth's main line of longitude. These lines, the equator and the prime meridian, allow us to divide Earth into hemispheres. A hemisphere is one half of Earth. The equator divides Earth into two hemispheres: the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. North America is in the northern hemisphere. South America is mostly in the southern hemisphere. We can also divide Earth along the prime meridian. The half of Earth west of the prime meridian is called the Western Hemisphere. The half of Earth east of the prime meridian is called the Eastern Hemisphere. The Eastern and Western Hemispheres meet at 180 degrees longitude. So, in what hemispheres is the United States located? If you divide Earth at the equator, you see that the United States is in the Northern Hemisphere. If you divide Earth at the prime meridian, you see that the United States is in the Western Hemisphere. Different parts of Earth have different climates. Some places are hot and others are cold. Some areas get much more rain than others. One factor that affects an area's climate is how the sun shines on Earth at different latitudes. If sunlight shines on a place directly, it will be warm. If it doesn't, it will be cold. Most of the places around the equator have warmer climates because sunlight shines almost directly down on them throughout the year. The North and South Poles have colder climates because the sun's rays hit those areas at an angle and bring little warmth. The region of Earth with some of the warmest climates is called the tropics. The tropics extend from the Tropic of Cancer, the northernmost point where the sun shines directly overhead, to the Tropic of Capricorn, the southernmost point where the sun shines directly overhead. Each of these lines, the Tropic of Cancer, the Tropic of Capricorn, the equator, and the prime meridian, help us locate places on Earth and look at only a part of a very large place.
Now it's time to use your atlas or the world map you're looking at on the internet to locate the equator and mark it on your map, locate the Tropic of Cancer and mark it down, and locate the Tropic of Capricorn. Again, stop the video at this point so that you can do that task. Here you can check that yours is correct. Next we're going to look at where rainforests are located and why.
Trekking through the Amazon rainforest is something that's high up on many travellers' to-do lists. But this is not the only tropical rainforest with natural beauty to behold. South America, Africa and India also have an abundance of wildlife and wonder. But what is it that makes this biome home to so many species of plants and wildlife? Tropical rainforests form a broad, discontinuous belt around the world, centred at the equator and extending from the Tropic of Cancer in the north to the Tropic of Capricorn in the south. The climate in this biome is humid and there's no winter or summer. Instead, it's hot and wet all year, providing the perfect climate for plants to flourish.
As we heard there, rainforests are situated close to the equator between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn because this is where the climate is most consistently warm and rainy. Now, can you use your atlas or search on the internet to find the locations of the rainforests of the world? In the Google Drive, you'll find this checklist of countries that we'd like you to look for on the world map and mark down. Can you find out where the tropical rainforests are located within these countries and shade them on your map in green? Now, if you couldn't print the map out, you might just want to annotate it on the screenshot that you took or the Word document. That's absolutely fine too. The really important part here is that you're able to see that the rainforests are located along that band called the equator. Now finally, if you have time to finish off today's lesson, can you explain the meaning of these key geographical words? Can you explain what continents are? Can you explain what and where the equator is? And can you explain the meaning of the word tropics? Well done, everybody.